welcome in the series of cybersecurity. This side is Meena. Today I will discuss about how can you save BIOS from dangerous cyber attacks. Actually, BIOS is a very small software, and why attackers are targeting it? The question is that BIOS is running when you just power on your system, and it is having really wonderful, or we can say powerful, privilege over the hardware of your system. And when attackers will attack on it, they can control your system and can be undetectable by most of the security softwares. Okay, because most of the security softwares, whatever we are using, antiviruses, they are working on detecting the malwares on the operating systems and whatever the applications we are running. But BIOS is running before the operating system, so this area is undetectable. That's why attackers are targeting your BIOS. So before starting discussing about what type of attacks they are doing, let's just have a look on what exactly is the BIOS and how it works. So most of we guys are in IT and know about the BIOS. So just let's talk little bit about it. BIOS stands for basic input output system. Means whatever the basic input output devices we are having, or which hardware we are using, so it's just controlling all these and testing, initializing the devices and hand over to the operating system, so that they can use it to perform the different tasks whatever we are using for our operating system. Okay, so BIOS, there are basically two types: legacy BIOS and Uefi, that stand for Unified Extensible Framework Interface. Okay, that's some advanced type of BIOS. Okay, so here I will discuss on the only on the legacy BIOS working. Okay, and the Uefi is just providing the more security and the say user friendly interface. Okay, and more of the functionality it support, like supporting the high bit of the operating systems, or high bit operations it is supporting, or more memories they are supporting. Clear? So when we just power on our device, BIOS starts from at that point. So first of all, it will look where exactly the piece of that software residing. So which that can be on mostly on the our motherboard. Okay, on the BIOS chip. It can be in the flash. Clear? So after finding it where is that BIOS software reside, and after initializing it, it will just send the power to the different part of the computers, or we can say hardware, to check that functionality, whether it's working properly or not. Okay, if they pass the test, then the next process will start. Otherwise there will be error display on your screen, and it will tell you what type of error it occurs. Clear? And if there are any optional ROM chips are available, or the piece of softwares are available, they will find it. If not, then they will search for the MBR, where they can find out which device is having the operating system, and what are the main starting point of the we can say you are say boot sector. Okay, so it will just find it, and after finding it, it will proceed for the initialization of the kernel. Okay, so kernel is the main core, we can say, of the operating system, which is lying a bridge between the applications and the whatever the hardware devices we are using. So for example, if we want, after just loading the operating system, if we are proceeding for specific task, say just we want to make some video, okay. So for making the video we need a software, an application, and to work on that we need some hardware, okay. So who is providing it? So the kernel is the bridge, which is the core of operating system, which is providing, yes, for specific task we need that software, we need those drivers, we need the part of that hardware, then all these coordination is done by the kernel, okay. And after that these things are working. So this is the like handover to the operating system before all these process comes under the BIOS, okay. And I'll just, let's have a look on the screen. That is the legacy kind of BIOS and our Uefi interface, okay. So just these are the different interface for our BIOS type. Now the question comes, why the attackers are targeting, what they get performing attack on the BIOS. In the diagram you can see hardware or the firmware, we can say those are the center point of this diagram, okay. So at that level, okay, our firmware is the software that run on a hardware, we can say this permanent software, and it is on ROM or EEPROM, okay. So this software generally we don't upgrade and this is the main trouble, okay. So even the manufacturer of the product or the BIOS chip, they are offering their upgraded BIOS version, and if we are not upgrading those, that means there is vulnerabilities into the BIOS systems and attackers can take advantage of it, okay. So here is the main part, which is having the hardware and the firmware, it is having the most privileged. So if attackers will get control over that part, definitely they can control over the rest of the system. And you can see in the second ring, or they say ring 0, the kernel and the drivers are coming, okay. So I told you the kernel is the main part of the operating system, which is handling the task to assigning which resources required for performing particular task for the whatever the application we are using, clear. So if the driver which we are using, if that driver is having some vulnerability or the malicious code it's embedded inside it, so the attacker can take advantage, or attackers even can install the malicious driver and can control over the kernel and other things, definitely easily they can control, because this part is having the maximum right and give the attacker right on the system level. So whatever they want they can do, clear. And just if we are going beyond those layers, so the privilege level just goes decrease, okay. So that's why attackers are targeting the BIOS to get the maximum advantage, because for example on operating system level our antiviruses are working, and if they detect yes there is some trouble or some virus on our system, they can detect. But once that boot again, because this attack residing on the BIOS, so again when the next boot will start, again that attack will start, okay, because this is untouched by the antiviruses, clear. So just now I will show you a attack that is on BIOS with the help of the rootkit. first BIOS attack, okay, that was in 2007 just came in the picture, and the name of the attack was Mebromi. Okay, in this attack, attacker was having all the component which was able to perform like BIOS rootkit, MBR rootkit, kernel mode rootkit, PE file protection, and Trojan downloader. Okay, and for doing those things, there were five encrypted file was there. So those files were hook.rom, flash.dll, cbrom.exe, mysys, and biosys. Okay, and during this attack, attacker targeted the Chinese computers which was running the security software Rising antivirus and the GGAM Min KV antiviruses. Okay, just this Phoenix technologies to just execute or the modify the code of ROM binary. Okay, and they just use that tool and execute the code of the BIOS, and this malicious code they just write on the ROM. Okay, and now the BIOS ROM is infected, and after doing these things, they just execute the file, another file, and they just infected the MB RAM. Okay, and once that MB RAM is infected by the sys file, and then they just have the control over the system. Okay, so next time when the system will be loaded, that malicious code that was in BIOS written by the hackers, that will execute, and they will get control over the system. In this way, guys, you can see the attacker can perform the dangerous attack. So now they are having the control over the system level, which is the highest level. Okay, and it is not detected by the antiviruses because that's run before the operating system. Clear? So guys, just you can follow me on the page Cybersecurity Prism. Okay, so Facebook will send you the notification for the another live session, and you can also join me on the group Cybersecurity Forever, where you can share your thoughts and just can communicate with the other buddies. Okay, in the next session I will discuss about different stages of cyber attacks. So how the attackers are thinking when they are developing a attack. Okay, so just we will see whatever the different stages, and how just we can also understand all these things. So stay safe. Namaste. See you in the next session.